Big picture time, folks. Time to draw back from the daily news, the daily grind, and start to think about these things that matter to us and how we're able to navigate through life. My name is Allan Namu. I work at Africa Uncensored, and this is season 2 of the Big Picture. So thanks a lot for all of your support through the first season. We're looking to have some really interesting guests throughout this season, and
we need to have some honest discussions around money. People think they know where their money is going. Spending, if you don't know where your money is going, Allan, we can't have a discussion. Going to buy land always appreciates. No, that's not true. The best investment is the one that matches your goal. So getting into an investment where you do not have a strategy is the problem that people have.
We are talking about money. Everybody is concerned, at least everybody in the country, everybody that I know. I think everyone here on set is concerned about money, what the state of the economy looks like, but I mean more so, what the state of your own personal finances are. So the theme of this discussion today is how to plan for the bad times and how to be able to get through that. And we have the perfect guest for this. None other than the CEO of Centonomy, that very famous financial literacy organization that has coached thousands of Kenyans and thousands more on how to be able to make money out of the little cents that you get on a daily basis. Mr. Waithaka Gatumia. Thanks a lot for joining us, Waithaka.
Thank you so much, and for the kind intro as well. That was very kind of you.
Lazima, we had to do it. We had to do it. And of course, we have our friendly neighborhood fact checker, Tom Mukwana. What do you have for us today, Tom?
A couple of controversial fact checks here. Yep. Fake information that was basically sent out to besmirch someone. Yeah.
Interesting. Why are you being so mysterious about who this somebody is?
It's a Ugandan fact check.
Yeah?
It's something about Uganda and Bobby Wine. You know about him.
Interesting, yes. Interesting. Na hapa nyuma yangu, we have someone who's going to be doing something very special later on. I'll let him introduce himself. Who unaitwaje wewe?
My name is Louis Alosa. I'm a caricature artist.
Louis Alosa, our local man's international now. Caricature artist. So, Waithaka, how we do it? So, Tom's on set to try and usually fact check some of the things that we say, but more so just trying to give some education on misinformation, disinformation. As you know, it's a bit of an infodemic, a pandemic. And so that's part of the job of what we do in the big picture. But let's crack on with this. Sure. You know, the typical Kenyan spends, if you're looking at the statistics that came out recently from the Bureau of Statistics, spends maybe between 48-53% of all of their income on food. Then there's rent and then school fees, etc. At this time last year, we were looking at the dollar being at around 110, 115. It's gone up. Some are trading at about 140. Inflation is going up month on month, meaning that 50% that you spend is not really 50%, right? So my question is, like, how are you telling people, or how are you educating people on how to stretch their money, especially during this time?
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me, but we need to have some honest discussions around money, okay? So when you consider that a huge part of the population here in Kenya and across Africa are living below the poverty line, that's a different discussion because it is literally about survival. And in such a case, many of the things that I'm going to say don't apply across the board. So for those, we need to think more broadly. We need to think, how can we be more inclusive as far as work is concerned? How can we generate more jobs? How can we make a better business environment so that more people can enter into probably the discussion that we're having right now.
That's really a very interesting way to look at it, especially from someone who does financial literacy, that there's some things that you just can't innovate around. Like if the economy is what it is and everybody, or not everybody, but a big chunk of them live below the poverty line or earn a certain amount of money, then there's no real way of being able to squeeze that extra shilling, right? So for those few Kenyans who are fortunate enough to have a decent income, what's that experience like? Being able to stretch that shilling in a tough time like this.
Yeah. So let me explain now what I mean when I said that. I was trying to say we need. Okay, yes, there's need for government. There's need for the business environment to change. That's okay, but as fellow Kenyans, we need to help out as much as you possibly can. So support. Financial support, educational support, get involved. Help build that school, help give those people opportunities. We've been doing a project with my wife where we're just giving books to schools. We didn't just we recognize that schools don't have libraries. So how is that child going to learn how to read and get themselves in the right space? So give as much as you possibly can. For the rest of us, and here's what I'm talking about. If you're earning an income, you're not at that level. So I'm not talking about the level at which you're saying, I can't survive and can't be able to buy a meal. So let me start off with, for instance, our house help. I always give this example because she amazed me. People think they know where their money is going. And you're saying somebody who's earning near minimum wage, anywhere in that space where you're earning a couple of thousands of shillings, maybe somewhere between 10 and 20,000 shillings a month on a regular basis, then you're kind of near the minimum wage space. You'd think someone like that doesn't have space in their salary for spending that they don't know. But we did some research and we found our house help had about 5 ringtones on her phone. Okay, so this is something that you don't consider, but 5 ringtones means that she's spending almost 10 shillings a day on a service that she doesn't even experience. So that lack of awareness, you can imagine at the level of income that she's earning, means she can't make decisions. Now, I use that because people usually think it's the middle class problem that we have where spending is an issue. No, spending, if you don't know where your money is going, John Allan, we can't have a discussion. So we found out that for everyone who has generally a regular source of income, the first position that you must take is, where does my money go? Not how much am I earning, not anything else like that. It's when I have cash, where does it go? Because if I know where it's going, then I can make decisions.
But you know, that's actually a far deeper and a far scarier question than a lot of people are willing to admit. Because sometimes you kind of just want to spread the wealth around na hutaki watu wachunguze sana. But I mean, if that's the first step, then fine. I know where my money is going now, right? So I'm spending it on, what have you, books, school, what have you, whatever expenses I have. The economy is still constrained. What do I do next?
Now you make decisions based on your personal plan and goals. So many times people will ask this, come on, you guys talk about investment. So what's the best investment that you're going to have? So for those who are taking notes, because I know we're in class almost at this point, the best investment is the one that matches your goal. There are thousands of investments out there. So if you don't know what it's for, then you can't make a decision. So the idea is set a goal. Then out of the multiple investment opportunities that are in front of you, you select the one that best matches the goal that you're aiming for. For everyone, there are 2 major goals you want to have. Number 1 is a savings goal. When I say savings, I mean having cash available for emergencies or for future investments. Okay? When I say an emergency, here's the one that you can measure. An emergency for most of us is a lack of income. So like, especially if you're an employee, but even if you're a business owner, even if you're a business owner, and I'm looking at you, John.
I'm agreeing with you.
When there are months that business doesn't come in, what do you do? So you need to have saved up some cash. So a good measure, what we usually advise guys, is save up about 6 months worth of your income for such a rainy day.
Okay.
Okay. Now, any emergencies come from anywhere. It could be a health emergency. It could be whatever kind of emergency.
Yeah.
But the one that you can measure is a lack of income. And that's a number you can put. Now, for most people, from our experience, it would take between 3 and 5 years to save up 6 months of your income.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah.
It doesn't just happen like that. It's going to take a bit of time to get to that point. But you see, because it's a goal, it gives you a target that you're aiming for. So if you have that target, then you're step by step going towards it. That's the first one.
Yeah.
The second one is having an investment goal. Now, when you talk about investment, this is the one that guys need to hear. And from our research over the number of years we've been working at Centonomy, generally, okay, let's be very clear, because we have to be sensitive now as far as generalizing, right?
Yeah.
But we find that women tend to save more than men. But they don't invest sufficiently. What does that mean? So they put money aside. Now, here's the thing that you need to hear about investment. Investment is putting cash where it will grow faster than inflation. Because if your money is in an investment that's growing slower than inflation, what's actually happening to the value of the money that you have?
Yeah, it's being eroded.
It's being eroded.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that as part of your plan, you have some investment instruments that are growing faster than inflation over the long term.
I just want to put a pin in that for a second. Please. Tom, if you could do me a favor, could you get us what this month's inflation rate is, just so that we can have like real numbers? And then now, because I'm thinking ballpark, it should be around 8 to 9%, right? So then what kind of an investment grows faster than an 8 to 9% growth in inflation or inflationary rate?
No problem. And I'd advise, because look, investment is a long-term discussion, so you'd want to look at annualized inflation rate. So you want to look at the last couple of years into this year, what the projection is. Don't look at a month to month, because too many factors happen there, and you're looking long-term. So look for annualized rate. Okay. So what investments grow faster than inflation? Majority of those investments are business related. Yeah. Okay. Why? Because businesses are generally created to generate a profit
and generate income. Yes.
And that's what the idea is, to be profitable over time. So any investment that's linked to business most investments linked to business will give you rates that are hopefully higher than inflation. So it's either a direct investment or an indirect investment. So you're looking at, if you start a business, you're hopefully going to be at a rate that's defeating inflation. If you are investing in someone else's business, whether it's directly or through, for instance, the stock market, you're going to find that over the long term, and here, please, this is the other thing, it's not month to month. It's not, if I put my investment and think that in the next 2 months I'm going to be at that level, no. You want to look long term. When I say long term, I'm saying 10 years. That's how you want to look. Over a 10-year period, will my investment beat the inflation rate? That's what you're looking for. So stock market is a way to go, whether you're investing directly or you go through what we call unit trusts, where a unit trust is investing. You have a fund manager who's investing on your behalf. That's one of the areas. People in this country and across Africa love real estate, so we have to talk about it. Yeah. So when we talk about real estate, you think about it this way. It is usually real estate where there is buying and selling of property. Then you're able to see that kind of rate of return over time. If you're buying and holding and you're thinking it's the speculative side where you don't know, it's not going to work. That's a very strong statement. No, it may. I mean, it may work, but I mean, look at. Yes. I mean, like one of the things, and I mean, for full disclosure, I did attend a Centonomy class, and one of the things that I remember very clearly being talked to about was about this scenario where there was a guy who invests money in land, thinking that he's going to be able to flip it, you know, and then a stressful emergency situation comes, he's not able to flip the land in time. In fact, he probably even sold it at a loss based on the value of money at that point in time. So I'm segueing into a question I had about misconceptions about what to invest in, especially in a time like this, right? So inflationary rates are high.
You've told us about investing in something that beats the inflationary rate.
That's correct.
Then what are the things that you find are misconceptions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the example of what you're saying, which is I'm going to buy land, land always appreciates. No, that's not true. So in general, land or real estate will appreciate in value. That's not the same thing as appreciating in price. So if you bought it at here's the example. The price, the value of the land is here. Let's say it's 100,000 for the piece of land.
Yeah.
The price that you're getting it is at 150. If I buy it at 150, the actual value is 100K. At the end of the year, the value has increased to 150. But have I made any money? No. In fact, I may even have made a loss over that period of time. So understanding that difference is really important. If you can get that right, how do we look at it? The example that you just gave is to say, the guys who make money in real estate try as much as possible to make money at the point of purchase. What does that mean? They're looking for good deals where they're getting the property at less than market value. What does that mean? So that even at that point, if they were to resell it at market value, they can get it. They look for real estate in high demand areas. So it means that the price is not going to be as easy on the pocket, but it's nearer to the actual value of that property. And then they have a strategy on how they are going to sell it.
Okay.
So the thought that most of us Kenyans is, I'll buy land. Yes, see, everyone is buying land. I'll buy, and at some point I'll sell. You don't know to who, you don't know when, you don't know for how much. There's no strategy behind it. So when you talk about the myth is, yes, the value of the land has appreciated, or the property, because it's not just land and buildings, but there's no market for it. There's no demand. That's where the issue is. So getting into an investment where you do not have a strategy is the problem that people have.
How about holding on to money? Because, you're looking at the environment, you're like, gosh, things are bad. I need money for a rainy day, right? It's raining right now, right? So my default would be, okay, instead of spending, let me hold on to this cash. Is that a misconception? Is that ill-conceived to do that at this point in time, especially if you're thinking about growing it over the long term?
So maybe it's good to clarify, what do you mean by holding on to cash? As in
mattress
banking. Yes. No, that's a horrible idea. Simply because of the security element. If it's mattress banking, you don't know what could happen. Your children could take your cash. You know what I'm saying?
And I guess by extent, digital mattress banking. So you put it in your Mpesa and you just leave it there.
So there's probably a better way to do it. So when you talk about that, it's a good principle. That's where we started. Remember I said saving. So saving is putting aside cash for emergencies. So that's correct. The idea is correct. So just make sure you're putting it somewhere where it's getting at least some return on it. You're not... Here's the thing. Remember you talked about align your investment to your goal. Your goal is security. It's there. I can access, and then access. So security, it means it's not in my mattress. If it's in my mattress, somebody could just take it. If it's in a bank or even using financial services like Mpesa and their Mshwari savings, at least you have some security around that. Okay, and you have access should an emergency come. And there's a bit of a return on it. That's a good goal. And that's what we talked about when we said saving. So always with your finances, you have to have a balanced approach. Saving, which means you're preparing for emergencies and things that could come up in future. And investing, where you're trying to beat inflation. That's the balanced approach that you want to have. And when I was talking about it, remember I talked about ladies save a lot, but they don't invest. So over the short term, they tend to do better than men. But over the long term, they struggle because then their money is not growing fast enough. Guys are the opposite in general. Guys... investments.
Deals.
Let me tell you the deal. I heard about this. Crypto, NFTs. Guys are in it. So they tend to take more risk and not save enough. So you're trying to find that balance. And you're trying to say, can I invest because I need to, but I also need to save. And save based on those goals.
All right. I want to bring it back now to what's happening locally. And I'd say also across the continent, right? So we're in a time of financial stress. you know, the drivers of it notwithstanding, and someone's watching you and thinking, okay, fine, you've told me to save, you told me to have a balanced approach, but the income that I have, I'm literally living from hand to mouth. And yes, and preceding that, you've also told me to find where my money is, right? Some of the people who would live hand to mouth think of credit as an option. So you're going to your mobile credit guys. If you have a bank, then a bank account and maybe your credit card. Are there any misconceptions around the use of credit that either put people off from it or drive people towards it that then could be, if corrected, they could then be used to your advantage?
Yeah. So again, as a very general principle, you know, we do a class for 3 hours on credit just so that we understand it a bit better. But here's a quick principle so that you understand. If you're borrowing for consumption, as in to use it, if I'm borrowing money so that I can go buy stuff from the supermarket, take care of my family, that's a dangerous space to be. Why? Because you're paying more for the stuff that you're buying because you have to pay back interest. If you're borrowing for consumption, that's not necessarily a good practice to have. If you're borrowing for assets, that means that you're buying something that will begin to generate money for you. That's the direction that you want to go, as far as borrowing is concerned. So as a general rule of thumb, good debt goes towards asset, bad debt goes towards consumption. Now, again, you talked about misconceptions. What is consumption? So if I buy my car, a vehicle, now please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying cars are bad things. Neither am I saying that you should never buy a car using debt. But just understand, when you buy a car using debt, you're losing money. Why? Because you're paying more than it's worth over the long period of time. And by the end of it, the vehicle itself loses value. Now, it has other values other than financial. It makes me feel good. I'm driving a car. It's convenient. It's all those other things. So there are things to consider there. But just realize you're losing money. The other one that for us Kenyans especially and Africans is our home. If you think about it like this, if you live in your own house, it's not free. And many times people think that my house is my asset. The only thing that living in your own home does is it saves you rent. But it doesn't put money in your pocket. So when you borrow for a home that you live in, just understand you're losing money in that transaction. I didn't say it's a bad thing. I just said understand what's happening in that transaction. So let's bring it now back to, as you said, living hand to mouth. Here's the thought process. If I borrow and I go to the supermarket, buy food for my family and take care of them that day, I'm losing in that equation. What if I took, off my mobile phone, I borrowed 2,000. I went, bought some unga, some oil, and I made mandazis. I went and sold those mandazis. So I borrowed 2,000. God willing, I sold more than the 2,000 bob in that day. I make some cash on top of it, and then I can be able to buy the stuff for the food that I'm talking about. That's the kind of transaction you want to get into at that level when you're talking about debt. But I want to, can I say something? There's a sense in which, look, there are things you're not in control of, but there are some things you're in control of. There's a guy, he was a watchman at the estate I used to live in. And he changed my perspective on this. Everyone has some control in their life on what they can achieve. This guy was earning minimum wage, but he would come to the estate and he would say, "Look, I'm here all night. There are 10 cars here." He said, "Can I be washing your cars?" "I'm here all night. I'm watching them. I'm taking care of you guys. I'll be awake because I'm washing them." This guy doubled his income. Because you can imagine if he's charging 300 every 2 days to each household for every 10 cars, that's more than doubling his income in a month. He was taking control of his situation. So each one of us has to take some responsibility for the income levels. That we have.
Might a suggestion be, so for instance, you're working in a company, right? And what the company is paying you, you've tracked your finances, you're on the point with saving, etc. But it's just not enough, right? Might an option be at a time like this to approach your boss and say, "Look, I need either a raise or to find some additional income somewhere, can we negotiate the terms of my contract? Is that something that then you would advise?
Always. But the perspective so let's talk about work and then let's talk about extra income.
Yeah.
If it's in a workplace, you're a boss here. All these guys work with and for you in some level.
With more than four, but
so I'm giving them advice and they're coming to sit with you. So this is
we can cut this show. By the way.
This is how you do it. Let me tell you how you do it. You always go into the room with a value conversation, not a money conversation. Because if you have a money conversation, even your boss has financial constraints. So what you want to do is you want to show, I have increased in value. And how do you prove that? You're proving it by the results that you're bringing into the organization and the potential results that are coming on through what you've done. I came in and I did this, therefore, I believe that I'm of greater value to you now than I was before.
Okay.
That's the conversation that you want to have. Because if you come with the conversation of, I need more money. Yeah, everyone needs more money. So come and say, I've done this for you since I've been here. And I think I'm going to do even more. Can we have a conversation from there? If that's not an option, or it will be an option in time, a side hustle is a really good idea. Because for many of us, especially employees, we become so comfortable with a salary. So, because it comes every month. In fact, sometimes you can even coast. My question to guys, and we talk about it in the class at Centonomy, where we ask, what do you do with your time?
Yeah.
And this was something that I learned. So I joined Centonomy as a part-time trainer before I became full-time there. And it came out of a class which I attended. And I was, what are you doing with your time? Hey, in the evening after work, between 6 and 8, I can talk, I can communicate. I think I'm pretty good at understanding material and breaking it down. Why not offer myself as a trainer? And that was an extra 10, 15,000 shillings every month for something I love to do with time which I would have been spending in front of the TV watching the news every night. And I know what's on the news every night. It's the same. The news is the same. And if I want to know, I can look at it on my phone. Yeah. What could you do with your time? This is the challenge I always give in the class. All these guys who've bought land, you've bought land somewhere. Some people have bought land, they have never even seen it with their own eyes. They just have a piece of paper that says that you have land. On Saturday, instead of watching soccer for 8 hours or whatever it is, or Netflix for 8 hours, take 2 of those hours. I'm not saying you don't need to relax. Take 2 of those hours, drive to your piece of land. Just look at it.
See what it looks like.
See what it looks like. See what you could do with it. I mean, at least even lease it to the guy who doesn't have a piece of land to work it.
Yeah.
And tell them even if it's 1,000 bob a month, that's an extra 1,000 shillings, an extra 12,000 shillings a year. Use what you have, including the time. Because otherwise you'll have excuses from here to whenever. Life is never going to become easy. There'll always be more responsibility.
How about upskilling? So, I mean, it's a stressful time. You want to be able to increase your value, right? So, how do you manage that process while also just existing, being able to survive?
Yeah. It's funny because you asked that in line with the same discussion around, for instance, your salary and having a discussion with your boss.
Yeah.
It's a value conversation. Hey, listen, if I go for this training, I will become more valuable to you. I'll be able to bring more value. Can you support? So that's one of the things that we do, like at Centonomy for our team members. We try as much to invest in their personal growth. Because if they're growing, it means they're bringing more value. And that's something you see, it's a much easier discussion as a boss to say, oh, yeah, if you go for training like your team here on better sound production or better research or whatever it is that you're doing, hey, there's a return on investment as far as we're concerned. So rather than thinking you have to invest it necessarily yourself, see how you can get others to invest for you.
That's a good tip. That's a good tip. Try and find someone who will invest in you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And always remember, it's the value conversation. Why would they invest in you? Because it'll bring a return. If you're doing it for yourself, then you're looking at what is marketable. What are the things that are being looked for that add value to me? Because right now, university degrees, I mean, it's funny we're having this conversation today because I was looking at some of my team members now.
Yeah.
Some of them are in school. I think I'm outing them. No, but everyone knows this is what's happening.
Yeah.
AI producing documents now. You can do a whole research paper on AI.
And in a fraction of the time.
No, here's the thing. Fraction doesn't even begin to say it. I was preparing some work for a presentation that I was giving, and I was looking for some statistics around wealth generation globally.
Yeah.
Went into ChatGPT, typed in a couple of instructions. 4 seconds, I had my summary. So now, I start thinking about the future of work.
That's like a big and almost completely separate discussion, because I mean it has impacts even for us here. So we do a lot of training, we do a lot of investigative work, etc. I was just fooling around and asked it to generate a documentary script, and in 10 seconds it was there. Right, so I was there I was in my feelings a bit, because I was like, okay, all of these years now
of experience. No, but there's value in it, because you need to look at it and see the relevance, see the audience. There's still work to be done, but what's happening is it's changing the nature of work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we were talking about where is the value, where you're going to build yourself so that you're growing. What's that education going to be? I actually don't know what the answer is right now, but I have a sense. My experience is I did a couple of documentaries in my lifetime, in another career that I was doing. And I would go around to different businesses, and I found that there is a huge market for handmade. There's a sense in which human beings respond to what other human beings are doing. Like what you're doing there, you're doing a caricature at this point, right? It has great value in certain markets. So I think there is still going to be a space in which there'll be the AI generated work, and then there's work that is generated by a human being, and it is verified that is generated by a human being.
And possibly with a premium because of the time, etc.
Exactly.
So then what you need to do is to figure out what your premium is, then now sell it.
That's right.
Okay. We're coming towards the end of this discussion, because we can go for days talking about money. Look, there's a good chunk of our audience who are, 18 to 24. They're joining the workforce or leaving school, and they want to get onto the money train as quickly as possible. Like, are there any words of advice that you would give to someone who's that age, a young lady, Caro somewhere, who's just left school, or Tom, for instance. Tom. Okay, Tom. Tom's just left school. So so someone like that. Like, what would be the 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you'd want to tell them? And again, I have to preface this with the environment that we're in, because there's a certain context that we're living in now.
Man, you're asking me a huge question to answer in 30 seconds. The value question remains. Make sure that you are of value. Now remember, and this is, you can do your fact check on this, that it is now more likely in your lifetime, especially, imagine I'm still considered to be a millennial, apparently. I'm within the age bracket. But and so it's proving true that you will have multiple careers, not just jobs. I think that's something to be aware of. Multiple careers. So what then is transferable between careers? So skills around interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence, leadership skills, strategic thinking. These are all the things that are transferable between careers. And that's what you want to invest in probably most, because I know there are technical skills and various things like that, but now you're seeing people who are professionals, lawyers, but they are musicians. You're a doctor, but you're in business, farming, doing something right now. What are the skill sets that are going to be transferable across each one of those careers, and invest heavily in them? And one of the major ones that I think we are losing, especially in the digital age where everything is on your screen and whatever, is the ability to deal with another human being. And if you build social capital, the reason I'm in this room is because I know John. And John knows me. He called me. We were able to have a conversation. You've helped me out in the past, and I'm happy to be here as well too. That social capital, you're not going to get it on Instagram. Now, Instagram is good for certain things. But being able to be in a room, build that skill.
Actually, I think an even a question like that related to this would be for the people who are on Instagram, then how do I build social capital on Instagram, right? So I don't know whether there's an answer for that, but I do appreciate the fact that, you know, having that kind of social capital can take you much, much further than, you know, some of the skills that we are very used to sort of like shouting about. Waithaka, thanks a lot for joining us on this episode of The Big Picture. Tom's got, I'm sure, either a fact check or a question based on the discussion. Okay. All right.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
You're scared.
Let's go.
How does someone build social capital? Because I've heard that being mentioned in various places. How does someone build social
Unaenda kwa mjengo. Okay.
Unajuana na contract.
Yeah. Please bear with me that I sound like a broken record, but as teachers, repetition helps. Value. So here's something that comes. This is what young people generally come and say. Can you be my mentor? No, I don't have time for you. Yes, that's my quick answer.
That one's up real quick.
No, that's my answer is no. I simply don't have time.
Yeah.
Watch this. There's a young guy that I deal with, and he came and said, hey, I know that you're having this event on Saturday. Can I come and help out? What do you think my immediate response to him is? Yes, free labor. A guy looks like he's focused.
Yeah.
He's doing all that. At the end of the day is when he asked, can we sit down for a cup of coffee? And the relationship begins from there. So he offered value first. Because if you're talking about building social capital, and that's it, you offer, why should I give you my time? My time is precious. So if you show me value, like what you're bringing value in this room, you're able to sit and do research on the computer, you are valuable. And people will see that. That's what you want to offer. So start from the value perspective. I want to get in somebody's space, I must be of value to them. Yes.
Also, inflation is at 7.9. I just checked. How does someone beat that? Because there's a lot of talk of beating inflation, but then how does someone beat it?
As I said, so here's the thing. With investment, you are looking into the future. So there's no guarantee. So that's the first thing we have to understand. However, I can give you one guarantee. If you do not invest, you cannot get a return. Now, I'm almost preaching now because it's biblical. You're supposed to spread the seed. You don't know which one of these different plants that are going to grow.
We're talking about financial seed. Financial seed.
Definitely.
You don't know which one is going to give you a return. All right? So, and even like a farmers know that. Farmers know we'll plant, but not every single seed is going to come up. But I still plant. So the thing is to know where you're investing and see which investments give me this kind of return that we're looking for. As I said, if you're looking into investments that are growing, you're looking for anything that's related to business. So around the stock market, we talk about unit trusts that are out there, buying and selling land with a strategy. If you look at these land companies, all of them that sell us land on the news and on radio, those guys are strategic. They go to an area. They buy a large parcel of land. They don't buy a quarter or 50 by 100 piece of land. That's not what they are buying. They are buying 5 acres. Then they subdivide. That is called value addition. When they subdivide and get the title deeds and do a Maram Road from 50 meters or 100 meters from tarmac, they're able to sell you that piece of land at 30% above market value. Why? Because they've subdivided it. They're able to say it's in small portions so people can afford it. They have been strategic and they'll flip that land in 3 to 6 months. They have finished a project. Come on. The opportunities are there. Now, I'm not saying they're guaranteed, but I guarantee if you don't get into it, you'll never make that cash.
Gosh, I mean, you've repeated it, but I think it's sunk in, I think, a lot more as you were talking about the land, etc., because there's a lot of things that we're thinking about on a personal level and also business-wise. Tom, I want to come back to you for our fact check. What did you work on today?
So let me just So you know about Uganda's strict anti-gay laws.
Yes.
Right? So Bobby Wine, prominent politician, went against a president that served for decades. So he obviously has a lot of enemies, you understand, and people who might want to besmirch his name online. So you find people posting pictures that were edited about him supporting
the anti-homosexuality bill.
that are, according to reports, unpopular in Uganda. So here's an image. I don't know if it can reach you there.
I can see it, but we're gonna have to project it for the folks.
I just zoom in here.
Okay.
So here's Bobby Wine, and I think he was attending a summit somewhere. So here's a picture of something that appears to be multicolored.
Like the diversity flag.
Yes. So,
but were they holding that?
It's. I'm getting to it. It's just a placard.
Okay.
It says it's about the abductions, and it says that I dare Bobby Wine to tweet on his page about these laws and just try and oppose these laws. So it features Bobby Wine, some other person, and someone who appears to be in the middle, who was probably part of that summit as well. And this immediately you look at this, you might think Bobby Wine is pushing an agenda in Uganda. Well, that's not true, because this image is photoshopped.
Okay.
There is something here that was added that wasn't in the original image. The original image is here.
Okay. Okay. So you reverse image searched and found the original image.
Yes. Did a reverse image search, which is quick. You can just these days, and there's a problem with APIs.
Yeah.
And Twitter and Facebook allowing people to access their data there. Something to do with data breach and laws and new ownership. So they are limiting APIs. So that means some applications that were previously used to do reverse image searches are not going to work now.
Okay.
So you need to be more ingenious.
All right. So which would be your rule of thumb? Do you do like a Google reverse image search? Which is the fastest and most guaranteed?
There is Google Lens now.
Okay.
Google Lens.
Yeah.
It's an application that is available. If you go on Google and you type Google Lens, you can quickly find Google Lens. They've made it easier for people to do quick reverse image searches.
Oh, that's cool.
Because now some applications that were used to do quick searches, like TinEye, are slowly being limited. And now you need to go, upload an image, run it, then it gives you suggestions of possible matches in the image.
All right.
But you understand that some claims such as these can be malicious.
For
so
sure.
This is someone who hasn't declared his stance, but somebody is quickly declaring it for him, of course, to maybe derail his ambitions to be president.
Yes. Or used out of context. I mean, just we're on the money discussion. There was a time a couple of years back, some guys in the room will remember, I took a picture of of myself standing in front of a very nice Range Rover, and and I was holding a cake, right? And I said, I was being cheeky, right? So I was like, what a sweet gift, right? So I was holding the cake, but there was a Range in the back, and blogs picked it up, and they were like, Namu's wife gifts him. I don't even know how they brought, So I was like, from your lips to God's ears. But then now later it became malicious, like it was related to the 2017 election, how this was supposedly a gift, etc. So I mean, there's sometimes images are also used out of context. So I think in addition to being able to search, there should be also not just like that conversation about the use of pictures in context.
And the rule of thumb is always whenever an image provokes you or it just makes you get a bit emotional, it probably isn't true. Yeah, like that one.
For sure.
Somebody might have picked a picture from 2014 and pulled it to 2022.
My children were very upset. They were like, where's the Range?
But on the discussion, because I mean, this is brilliant stuff that you're doing here. Remember, we started off with the idea of social capital? You need people around you who can be able to nowadays to verify you are there or you are not there, and can tell you, can say where you are, because this stuff is scary. I think.
Can completely ruin your reputation.
Completely. We have one last tradition on this show, every episode. And that one is not my job to do, but Mr. Aloso, please, let me look at it, because we were having beef with him just before the...
No, that's not encouraging. No, wait. Okay, anyway. You can't laugh and then say...
No, anyway, here you go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's nice.
So the smile, well, it's a caricature. So,
It is.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, Waithaka Gatumia, thank you very much
The
for
lack of
joining
hair
us.
is telling.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're getting on in years. You and me, the hairline is receding slowly into nothingness. Right? But I appreciate you. Thanks a lot for coming. We appreciate your time. We'll be sending you a copy of this caricature at the end of the season. So singoja sana.
No problem.
Right? But we really appreciate your time and your insights. Of course, you can catch this on Africa Uncensored on our YouTube channel. There'll be portions of it. There'll be on TikTok. Wherever you are online, you'll be able to catch a portion of this discussion. Of course, you can follow the work that Gatumia and the good people are doing at Centonomy. You can tell us where we can find you.
Hey, Centonomy.com. Please check that out. And also on all social media. We are on Facebook, YouTube. Got lots of free material on YouTube and Facebook. Instagram. We're on TikTok now. And yes, I have our head of PR here, and she's looking at me badly because of all the different things. LinkedIn, you can also check us out there as well.
Yeah.
Pretty much most of the social media. But check out the website and do register for the class, because I think education is a huge part of this. We've only been talking for a couple of minutes now. If you can be empowered with education, it can shift your life.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Gatumia, thanks a lot. Waithaka, sorry, Gatumia.
Both are my
Waithaka.
names.
Yes,
sorry.
Waithaka, Gatumia. Thank you very much. Guys, tune in for the next episode of The Big Picture. It should be down there. Just click on it. Don't worry, just go into that rabbit hole. You'll learn a lot of things. Thank you very much. And of course, if you want to support Africa Uncensored's work, you can check the link out. We are on Patreon. We're also got various other ways in which you can support us, suggest story ideas, suggest investigations, suggest guests for The Big Picture. Asanteni sana. We'll see you on the next episode.